The story starts with a girl getting home, calling a friend and discussing Yukiko's playful frustrations. The shy girl on the other end seems to quickly reject this, instead confessing playtime with her boyfriend doesn't feel that good. Naturally, with such an issue, there could be only one problem. His sword is too tiny. The size of the sword doesn't matter, only how it's used. That's copium. Try telling that to Guts and that massive blade of his. Feeling a bit conflicted, the shy girl seems reluctant to let go of her boyfriend Ma-kun, and the Gyaru girl teases her, asking her if he's her first boyfriend. Just then, there's a cry from within the house of someone else on the call, and it's revealed a young boy is having issues fitting his sword into a scabbard while showering. He cries, lamenting over the loss of the new toy. Unfortunately for him, he's been granted with an Excalibur so large he can't even play with it with his own hands. Nothing seems to work, and it's hard to believe he can even keep it in his pants. "I'm sorry, Sakura-chan," he whispers before washing it off in the shower. "I'll clean you up before my sister sees." Naturally, he isn't fast enough, and his older sister shows up to snap a picture of his situation. This is a Kodak moment. She cries before taking enough pics to be considered felony harassment if their genders were reversed, and then sending those pictures off in a group chat with her close friends. It was following this incident that she proposed something weird, and it wasn't even marriage. She decided to have all her unsatisfied friends come over and play with her brother. I'm not sure that's how siblings should act, but okay. Soon enough, the moment MC got home from school, her sister and her friends were waiting to catch him, dragging him into a 2-day, 1-night girls' gathering. Termed as a little brother sword appreciation gathering, it's like a cult meeting except that cults often go beyond worship and to copulation with the cult leader. On second thought, it literally is a cult. The Gyaru tells MC's sister her own partner just barely wins, but the sister only replies with a curt, "This isn't fully sharpened yet though." Before you know it, they've gone from just watching his shaking sword to trying to make it bigger. After all, practice makes perfect, and Arthur didn't master Excalibur in a single try. The girls cluster all around him, each trying their best to teach him sword play. The Gyaru uses her melons as target practice for his face. The shy girl lifts her skirt and introduces MC to the concept of underwear, while his sister sits behind him whispering unseemly things into his ear. "Yukiko, this is an actual Godzilla," she says, asking the other girls to compare his sword to their boyfriend's swords. The shy girl is flustered and admits he is bigger, thinking it looks like taking it inside will feel really good. As for the Gyaru girl Nagisa, she has this almost confused look on her face, and she says she will have to take a closer look. She could be a scientist with how closely and affectionately she examines him, as Nagisa immediately gets onto her knees and starts playing with MC's sword. He makes a cute face and she teases him about it, betting him he couldn't fit this inside any of the backpacks of the girls in his class. Our MC admits he doesn't have a girlfriend yet, which is kind of hard to believe what with being surrounded by 3 Wani-chans and whatnot. "Are you kidding me? This thing is too good to be used on just toys," Nagisa declares, sharpening his sword with her fingers in the shape of an O. "Stop moving your hands," MC shouts, which is something you'll hear both guys and girls use while playing in the bedroom. Unfortunately for him again, consent doesn't appear to be a thing here, which is somehow okay if it's a girl doing it to a guy. I'm sure Sato Kazuma would have a few words about this. Nagisa realizes she might end up flicking her switch and asks MC if he'll be okay with her as his first ever woman. Of course, this line is obviously a trap and she's just checking if he's a robot. Because what human man would say no when a girl straight up asks him to do the deed with her? Come on, guys are willing to sharpen their swords using a literal orange. Instead of the expected response, Nagisa instead starts rubbing his sword against her grindstone, telling him she won't let him come home, but if he manages to resist his urges, she might allow him to put his sword back into her sheath. She tries to tease him more, but it's obvious she's having some conflicted feelings about this, wondering how it'll feel when it ends up going inside of her. She removes the covers from her sheath and lets him insert just the tip. As the others look on, bewildered at whether she's actually going to do the deed, she relents a little and lets just the tip of his sword enter. It immediately parts the seas like the holy weapon it is, if you know what I mean. Soon enough, Nagisa gives in to her desires and lets him put the entirety of his sword into her sheath, wondering what it would be like to take it all in. The moment she does this, MC's sister gets really angry while MC himself ends up lost in bliss. "Oi, you there? Why did you just casually take my little brother's innocence?" she shouts. Evidently, she doesn't realize she was the one who invited them over for an Excalibur worshipping party. When Nagisa promises to take it out, there's an explosion and MC can't hold himself anymore. His elephant trunk of a sword reaches its full potential and MC starts moving his hips to the beat. If there were better music, you could say he's beat-sabering his meat. Nagisa starts saying some really non-Christian things, like how incredible his sword feels, how she's never felt anything like this before, and how she feels like she's being filled with warmth and happiness from the inside. Honestly, that's exactly how these acts should feel. Not that I would know anything about it though. As the elevator music plays in the background, MC remarks her sheath feels better to use than any other tool he's found so far. When MC tells her he's about to come home, she tells him it's okay and to pump his Wani-san's tires full of gas using his monstrous nozzle until she's too tired to continue. I'm not sorry about the pun. Eventually, MC loses his load of cargo and Nagisa lifts off, letting tons of milk spill onto the ground while she licks her lips. While MC's sister scolds the crazed Garu for her behavior, the conversation soon turns to the shy girl who was watching them the entire time, having a crisis in her underwear during that encounter. Nothing happens after that though, and MC is allowed to go and shower, reflecting back on how good of an experience that was. It's called a refractory period, ladies. Unfortunately for him, Yukiko visits him in the bathroom in her towel. As payment for seeing his wonderful sword, she wants to wash his back using her melons. I see this as an absolute win, but apparently, MC is too shocked to comprehend how lucky he is. She compliments his good skin and his girly figure, except for his manly tool. Yukiko tests some fun techniques on him using both her hands and chest, not really caring if her towel slips or if she starts to act really weird. "Can you try putting your sword in my sheath too?" she asks, confessing she never had a good experience with her own boyfriend. Thus, without too much thinking, MC starts doing it with her too. Needless to say, Yukiko discovers the pleasures of swordplay while MC learns to behave more like the typical anime protagonist, spouting all sorts of dirty language and taking the initiative. The bathroom is soon filled with squelching sounds and cute noises, as well as MC relentlessly teasing her about her boyfriend, eventually resulting in her joining his party too. Ever since then, both Nagisa and Yukiko have been coming over to see his swordplay, learning from him and enjoying his Excalibur. "I thought you used to say you would never cheat on Ma-kun," Nagisa teases, watching Yukiko lick MC's popsicle. "That was before I realized just how big MC's sword was, and I could never go back to that pipsqueak." With the two older girls' guidance, MC soon learns just how much of that 7 deadly sin the pair have, and they spend the afternoon playing together until MC's sister comes home, only to realize just how big of a mistake she made introducing them to each other. Though to be fair, it is kind of her fault, so what is she going to do, complain? Nevertheless, I can't fault her for being really embarrassed watching her little brother play with her friends. "Welcome back, Chiaki," greets Nagisa, who is still bouncing on MC's pogo stick. "We're borrowing your little brother," says Yukiko, who's sitting beside the pair with her melons out. Chiaki is obviously quite angry with this and begins to complain. "What are you doing? You told me you had to go first since you're busy with something," she exclaims. "Yeah, as you can see, this is something we're busy with. We're addicted to your brother's sword. Need I say, addiction is bad. It makes you abandon things normal people call important in favor of whatever it is you're addicted to. But as my biology professor would say, copulation is the most important thing to animals. So carry on, dear Wani-sans." Apparently, Chiaki doesn't quite understand this or can't see what's in front of her, so she asks them what they're doing to her brother. In response, MC cries out, "He's coming home," before the trio makes some cute noises. That's an answer, sure, but did you have to explain it to her like that? When MC pulls out of Nagisa's sheath, she starts making even more cute noises, and her face looks a lot like mine when I finally beat Milenia in Elden Ring. A droplet of MC's ice cream splatters onto Chiaki's face, and Nadhisa asks her if she wants to join them. "There's no way I would," she cries. "Why would I join a 4-person game with my little brother?" This is quite funny, since if I recall correctly, she was the one who snapped pictures of his Excalibur and sent them to all her friends. For some reason, MC looks really disappointed with her response and he watches her leave. In another room, Chiaki fumes at the nerves of those other girls. Deciding to have a play date with somebody else's little brother, she grumbles, "Who do they think they are?" Of course, as she stands there in the changing room, she wonders what it would be like to have MC's sword inside of her sheath. But she knows if something like that makes a mess of her, she'll be lost forever to Alabama. Unfortunately for her, this is an H anime and she's got a really luxurious figure, so there's really no way out. It's kinda like she's stuck in a horror film, only with copulation instead of death. I wonder what it would be like if she went Doki Doki Monica on them. But that's enough shower thoughts for the video. MC barges into the room and sees his sister bare like that, his head immediately filling with cute thoughts as his sister struggles to control her own desires. He asks her to let him use her scabbard, but she tells him to go ask the other girls instead. Unfortunately for Chiaki, she can't escape this loop as the other girls are already burned out from his swordplay. Somehow gaining 10 levels in strength and assertiveness, MC cabidons Chiaki against the wall and slips his blade home. It's already wet and he deduces she got excited watching the others play together. "There's no way that's true," she protests. "Why did you insert your USB, you idiot?" This angers MC and he immediately shoves it all the way in, making sure the connection between them is secure. It's really tight and narrow, and he has to really apply pressure to get it in. But soon enough, he's showing his older sister his swordplay. She calls him cheeky and warns him not to get carried away after sleeping a few times with the others. Chiaki tells him she's had encounters with more men than years of MC's life, but he only takes it as a challenge. "Phew, you're quite experienced, huh? I won't be holding back then." Every one of MC's attacks against Chiaki's weak spot leaves her feeling dizzy, and her mind goes blank every time his sword finds its mark. I never knew swordplay could feel this way. Seeing her reactions, MC asks her if, out of all the swords she's fought, isn't his the best? Chiaki resolves not to let this go on any further and tries to deny it, giving him the age-old adage of bigger isn't always better, and she tells him to come home quickly so they could move on, as if it weren't a big deal at all. But MC doesn't back down and tells her he's going to make her come home instead, and with a bit of flashy and bangy swordplay, he gives her an ice cream cone so good it should be called a nice cream cone. If you know what I mean. MC's swordplay would probably put even Kirito to shame, and on two fronts too. 1. Kirito and Asuna haven't even done it yet, have they? And 2. Who needs 2 swords when you have just a single large one? You could, if you will, call it sword art opie. Anyways, our previous writer was fired for bad puns, so I hope you don't tell my boss about this. Following MC's complete destruction of Chiaki's sheath while pinned to a wall, he continues by pushing her to the ground and making her come home repeatedly, the opposite of my father who went out for milk. Not to mention, he filled her home with tons of milk. In the end, since her little brother never cared about the time and place, they started doing it everywhere. In her own words, her female instinct was seeking him at all times. Even when their parents were home, they would keep doing it in the bathroom as their parents called to them to eat dinner. Even when Chiaki's boyfriend showed up, the pair kept doing cute things together. When the boyfriend did it with her this time, she wasn't able to feel anything from it. So when the guy left to shower, MC and his sister started playing again. After all this time together, she's gotten addicted to the sheer size of his Excalibur, and he even makes her swear not to do it with anyone else except for him. How the turntables! MC's sister now joined his party, and the 3 girls made the Excalibur appreciation event a regular thing, with the girls each trying to make MC favor them the most. As you can imagine, a whole ton of things keep happening, and the girls' shits are now more than just addicted to his sword. They've become one. From that point on, the girls do it a ton with MC, and thus ends the H anime. Next time I meet my biology professor, I can tell him one more thing about addiction. You can't spell addiction without addict. Our main boy, Kigashi Shota, attends Shiratori Academy, where girls who attend there are labeled as high-class ladies by society. At the start, we see our main character overhearing a group of girls who were talking about naughty stuff. He thinks to himself the label is only from outside, implying that the girls in the academy are not really high-class ladies. Just then, he came across a boy, dashing away while crying from the classroom, occupied by some big sisters. There was a rumor that the club was established for the members to have fun and play with boys, and that rumor turns out to be true. He then eavesdrops on the members talking about how one of the members, namely Tamaki, is at fault for causing the guy to run away from them. She replies that she did it because he makes cute noises while she plays with him. Then they discuss finding a new member to play with, and our MC finds out they are all actually virgins, despite having rumors about them having fun with dozens of boys. Our Shota MC is then suddenly caught by the president of the club, Rika Fujino. He gets tied up to a chair by that big sister. Then he gets interrogated by the 4 girls about how much he heard. Our MC reveals that he heard everything until the virgin part, which makes all those girls glare at him. Worried MC wonders what will happen to him now. Then those girls force our Shota MC to join the club in order to prevent him from disclosing the club's secrets. After signing in the club papers, all the cute big sisters introduce themselves. The blonde gal introduces herself as Yumasawa Runi. The girl with glasses is Kusuda Nao. The girl with violet hair is Shinohara Tamaki, and the president of the club is named Segawa Reika. They all welcome him to the club and inform him that all club members are addressed by their first names. Despite thinking that the club seems regular, he gets caught by the president of the club again and was told that he is not allowed to go outside of the club. It seems like he can't leave without having some fun time with the girls. They reveal how the club activity consists of having fun with each of the members. Hearing that, he quickly takes back what he thought about them earlier. These girls are not normal after all. Later, he gets tied up again as the girls were ready for some fun. They reveal another core rule of club male members. They will follow whatever orders the girl members assign to them, and they have no choice in that matter. They take off his pants and do some exploring, even taking pictures and selfies with his cute Shota body. They plan to upload it on Instagram, even though he tells them as he thinks Twitter will cancel them. He is then saved by the bell, and they have to return to classrooms without having too much fun time with our MC. In the next club meeting, he is forced to wear a cute female costume as the president takes photos of him all over again. Despite his rejections and pleas to stop, she keeps bullying him and lifts up the skirt to take more pictures. She thinks he looks cute in the uniform, but he is naughty inside. She takes off his skirt and begins playing with his body. He tells her to stop, but she doesn't listen and keeps going. The fun keeps on going, but they stop short of actually doing it, keeping the club president a virgin still. At the end of the day, Shota MC returns to his home thinking he can finally rest and get away from the girls. However, to his shock, he finds the president waiting for him in his room. She scolds him for being loud and he asks her why she's in his room. She says he should be grateful because she went out of her way to reach there. When he asks her again why she's in his room, she pins him to the bed and tells him they will do it and she will graduate to the next level with him. Despite his objections, she still takes off his clothes. MC tells her that they should be doing these sorts of fun activities with the person they love. She then mentions how he says all that, but his body says something else. She tells him to shut up and lend her his body. They have tons of fun in bed for a long time, but after a couple of hours, they feel tired. The president falls asleep on his bed. Our main protagonist, being all Giga Chad, thinks she looks beautiful when she's being quiet and vows to show her his manly side and make her behave. With his alpha male mindset, he starts playing with her while she's fast asleep. Even in her sleep, she enjoys him playing with her, and Shota MC moves on to big boy stuff, but then she wakes up. She demands to know what he's doing and says, playing with a sleeping maiden is preposterous. He lets her know that he won't follow her orders anymore, but she makes fun of him, saying he won't be able to satisfy her by giving max pleasure. He promises to show her how manly he is, and she accepts his challenge. She tells him to give her his best shot. They then begin to have more fun than before. He plans to make her discriminatory attitude disappear with his manliness. After he's done playing with her for the first round, she asks him if that's all his manliness can do. He says that he's not done yet, so they go for round 2. After round 2 is over, Shota MC thinks that he will not be a toy for the club anymore and he has to wrap things up. He decided to bully the president and make her clean his body. She obliges, however. She bullies him back a little too thoroughly again and again, saying that it gets dirtier every time she cleans it up. In the end, she shows him she's still the queen and that she can do anything with him. Then our Giga Chad MC becomes a beta male and says he's sorry. The next day, the other club members are shown our Shota MC photos from the day before in a girl's uniform. They all crowd around the photo and think how he looks much cuter than them in the uniform, even though he's a boy. It especially makes the blonde girl get mad at him. Rooney forces him to strip and starts playing with his body again, being too rough this time, which makes the other girls ask her to be more gentle with him. In order to console him, Tamaki takes off her clothes and makes him play with her big watermelons. Seeing that he reacts more to Tamaki, Rooney gets more aggressive and uses her watermelons to play as well. Tamaki then wants to go all the way and enjoys her fun with our Shota MC. Even though he is tired from playing with Tamaki at first, Rooney then forces him to play with her next and make her feel good. She threatens to spread his photo, so he is now forced to obey her. This way, both girls graduate to the next level. Later, they are tired after having all that fun session and she asks him if he's glad to have enjoyed their fun activities together. Our main boy replies she seemed to have enjoyed it more than him. Hearing that, she gets defensive and says there's no way she would have been absorbed in their activity. Tamaki is already fast asleep by the time they finish their game, so they decide to go home when she wakes up. He doesn't understand how a girl's mind works. Upon returning to his home, he discovers Now already in his room doing homework. After looking at him, she asks what's wrong and our Shota MC tells her that he's just a bit tired. She gives him some drink to energize him and he takes it gratefully. She seems to be worried about him. She then asks him if he is okay as he looks a bit pale. He surmises that Now is not like the other girls. After a while, he starts feeling drowsy and falls asleep on the table. It turned out that Now had drugged him and made him fall asleep. He only wakes up to see Now playing with his body. He gets surprised and asks her what's going on. She replies saying how she's preparing him for some fun activity. He tries to convince her how this should be done with someone she loves, but she asks him why he did it with the other 3 girls. She asks our MC if he doesn't like to have fun with her, which makes our MC speechless. She says she wants to graduate to the next level like the others. Shoma MC then tells her to take better care of herself. She then lifts up her dress to reveal her giant watermelons and asks him if he likes them. He was in awe, and they both had fun playing with each other. After the deed is done, she thanks him for allowing her to graduate. She says how she will depend on him from that day onwards. She also mentions that she wants to try different things with him and is already thinking about the next time they will have this fun activity together. Now then falls asleep as she was tired. Our MC can finally relax now. He thinks to himself about how he got into having fun again even though he wanted to do it with someone he loves. He then finds a solution to his problem. He will just fall in love with someone from the club. But there is another problem. What if all of them fall in love with him? Will MC be able to choose one? The president's voice is then heard asking the MC who he will go after. He thinks a lot about this and starts to list out the strong points of all the girls. Rieka is headstrong but gets bewildered while having fun. Nao is usually composed but gets passive. Tama is cute, but she has an abnormally high drive for having fun. And Rooney, who's aggressive but becomes docile in the run. Every one of them is cute and he can't decide. Soon, he hears the president's voice again saying that he is cheeky and is like a baby while playing with them. He wholeheartedly agrees, but then realizes with a shock that she is in his room. It seems like all the girls of the club showed up in his house. Tama is restless and wants to play again. Rudy is annoyed that he got cocky after playing with them once. Nao then wakes up and asks him if he was planning to have all of them. He tells them that it's not like that and the president got angry and says she will not show any mercy. The story starts with the MC, Dariel, a dark soldier serving the Demon King's army, meeting with the 4 Demon Kings. Bashubaza, a Demon King, called the MC so he could fire him out of the Demon King's army. Bashubaza tells the MC that his rank has been the lowest rank of the Demon King's army, calling the MC's will to assist them suspicious. In addition, Bashubaza exposes the MC for his inability to use magic ever since he was a kid. The demons see those who can't use magic as compared to trash. The MC tries to defend himself, saying that the former King Granverza already assigned him on a mission before almost being burned to a crisp by Bashubaza as a warning shot. Bashubaza informs the MC that his father has retired, so those words were irrelevant to the use of the Demon King's army. Now that the army is under new leadership, anyone who can't use magic is deemed unneeded by the Demon Lords. The MC, with a beaten face, understands his ending and leads with dignity. As the MC walks outside the palace, he reminds himself about what's happening in the outside world, more specifically, the constant war between demons and humans. Although the two groups don't look nearly different from each other, they still fight up to this day. The only way to determine if one is a demon is if one can use magic. The MC belongs to the demons, yet he can't cast any magic spells, so he sees himself as incompetent. A member of the Demon King's army, Rezit, finds the MC outside the castle and teases about him patrolling the area as it's the boring duties of the lowest rank. But the MC corrects Rezit, saying that he is no longer one of them. Now that the MC is all on his own, he wanders aimlessly in a forest, contemplating how despite serving the Demon King's army for 32 years, he just simply let go, and now he doesn't know what to do with his life now. The MC struggles to walk with an empty stomach and collapses, readying himself for the end of his life. Abruptly, he sees a woman leaping over him. As he is baffled by this shock, a beast monkey appears and tries to attack the woman. The MC blocks its attack and tries to buy time for the woman to escape. While he doesn't have any magic, he jumps onto the beast, only to be punished harshly by it. Left with no other option, the MC takes the dagger the woman has and pierces the beast's chest, ending it off. The woman thanks Daryl for his heroic act, and he tries to leave to avoid mixing with a human. But the woman choked the MC by his cape, insisting she thank him by giving him a meal, which he accepted. The two arrive at the village of Locks. The woman presents herself as Marika and shows him to her parents. As the MC learns he is in a human village, he fears if his cover is blown as a demon, then he will be tortured by the humans, so he needs to speak carefully. When Marika asks the MC why he was in the forest, he shares how he was fired from a job that gave a place for him to live in. Now that he no longer works for the place, he has no choice but to wander around and be homeless. Marika tears up as she finds it sad and heartbreaking that a nice guy like the MC would be simply let go by his bosses. When Marika asks her parents if he could live in the village, they gladly agree as the village is lacking civilians and he is able to protect the village from nearby monsters. Marika asks the MC if he's okay with settling in the village of Locks, but he struggles to say yes as they are his enemies. He contemplates how valuable life is. If there is a place where he is needed, shouldn't he do his best to answer their call? So the MC takes Marika's offer and thanks her for her generosity. As the MC spends his first night in a human village, he misses how bigger his Demon King's castle room was compared to his new room, but was interrupted by Marika. Marika opens up to the MC about how he was the first person to protect her, as she is usually the one who does the protecting. As Marika usually protects other people, so she feels touched when she becomes the one who was protected. After she finishes her thanks, she abruptly leaves in a hurry, leaving the MC to question how a demon like him could have saved a human girl despite being enemies. The next day comes, and Marika's father reveals himself to be the village's guildmaster and wants to offer the MC a job to be an adventurer. Marika's father explains how an adventurer is approved by the guild and then their job is to defeat monsters and gather herbs or other valuable materials. Then, the MC puts a stop to Marika's father's words, asking if he could get another job instead, like a farming job. Marika's father insists as he wants the MC to take advantage of being young while it lasts, and it's easy as filling out a simple registration form. Yes, the registration form is easy, but it's only if you are a human. The MC realizes that this registration form is the rumored ritual that only humans can pass. Many demon spies have tried it in the past only to fail and get their cover blown. The MC fears how deadly it is to get one's cover blown, as he once treated injured spies that had been hurt after failing the ritual. Like any student trying to get out of a pop quiz, the MC pretends to have his back hurt. When Marika asks why the MC's back hurts, he explains how he is starting to feel the pain after fighting that monkey beast. He doesn't want to lie to Marika, but he needs to avoid taking that ritual as best he can, or else everyone will discover that he is a demon. Marika's family must have persistence in their genes, as Marika's father gets Marika to help the MC out, forcing him to bleed and forcing his hand to touch the ritual form, finishing the process fully. The MC starts to freak out as he awaits the final moments until he is finally tortured by the humans. While the ritual does its work, a flow of enchantment light covers the MC's body, heating his body and making him feel weird. The blue enchantment light turns yellow, and finally, the ritual is complete. Marika and her father cheer for the MC for completing the form, while he has an existential crisis if he is possibly a human, as he should have been exposed if he truly were a demon. The MC takes the time to recall his past memories flashing through his eyes, as first being adopted by the former Demon King, Granverza, enlisting himself into the Demon King's army as a little boy, being dropped by the organization he worked for his entire life, being homeless, and finally living in a human village as he realizes he is truly a human. Moving forward from the ritual, Marika's father wants to test the MC's might, as he used to be an adventurer. So he wants to teach the MC how to handle aura, a power that humans possess. They can use their aura and put it on their armor or equipment as they fight. The MC wants to test his aura with a sword, remembering how to do mental training to be aware of one's mana, but fails. So this time, he manifests his aura onto his body and sword successfully. Marika's father then explains how there are 4 types of auras he can manifest: slash, sting, hit, and block. The MC tries to test his aura on slash, so he needs to slice through the tree stump. So he does it with pure ease and swiftness, and the MC starts to feel the power of the aura. The MC then tests his aura on sting, so he needs to hit an apple with a bow and arrow. So he does, as he also demolishes the area surrounding the small apple. Along with the apple, Marika's father is impressed by the MC's aura but hides his envy. The MC tests his aura with hit, and he crushes a stone with a hammer. As the stone has disintegrated into pieces, Marika's father cries about how it's impossible for someone to have more than 1 aura, let alone 3. Marika's father takes a personal approach and tests the MC's aura on shield. So the MC has to block an attack from an iron hammer with a puny wooden shield. As Marika's father hits the MC while crying for him to go to hell, he starts to eat his words and he is repelled onto the floor by the MC. Marika's father ends the aura test and concludes that the MC's aura perfectly matches and exceeds all 4 types. Now that the envious feeling has left Marika's father's body, he takes a serious approach and comments how rare a person like the MC can manifest all 4 aura types at once, let alone initially. As it is a rare talent, maybe the MC's skill set should be spent on the career ladder. Marika's father informs the MC that he could apply and be a part of the Center Guild, a top organization that everyone wants to be a part of, like college students applying for Harvard. He regrets thinking of asking the MC to stay at the village, so he rather let the MC go and let his wings spread free in the outside world that could better make use of his talents. This makes Marika feel very uneasy, as it may mean that her story with the MC will come to an end. The MC starts to consider it, as he previously lived his old life at the lowest rank in the Demon King's army, and now he is able to climb up to the ranks as an adventurer. The idea sounds grand to the MC, but when he takes a look at Marika, he sees a broken expression as she weeps at the fact that she'll never see the MC again. Instead, the MC asks Marika's father to let him stay in the village and serve them as their adventurer. The MC is grateful for the village to lift him up at his lowest point, so he wants to return the favor and be devoted to the place that gave him his big break. The MC understands that it is a selfish request, that logically, he should devote himself to the Center Guild as a gifted adventurer, but Marika quickly tells him that it isn't selfish at all and shows her gratitude towards him for wanting to stay by their side. The MC feels happy to make this choice to stay by seeing Marika's smile once again and looks forward to what his new life has to offer him. Now that the MC is an adventurer, he makes a formal introduction to the village people. The people seem to take a liking to him at first, but one starts to doubt the MC's power. Another adventurer appears, and his name is Gashida. Gashida tells the MC to show him his rank, and the MC realizes that his rank started out at the lowest E rank. Marika's father apologizes to the MC, as Gashida is known to be arrogant. Not to mention, he is the only adventurer in the village, so he thinks highly of himself as the sole adventurer that is making a big change in his village. But now that the MC is here, maybe his appearance may influence Gashida to work harder and potentially change his character. Marika's father gives the MC his first quest, which is to gather some herbs. There appear to be many herb retrieval requests, but Gashida refuses to take one. The MC takes the quest, but Marika's father warns him to not let his guard down in the forest, as there have been ferocious monsters there. He informs the MC that there is a giant monster on the loose that Gashida has not been able to contain. Then he shows the MC the monster drawing, and Marika tells her father that the monster is actually dead because it was the gorilla who tried to attack her the first time she met the MC. As a result, they mark the quest as completed, and Marika's father chastises Gashida for slacking off. He informs Gashida that the MC has already defeated the monster that he was supposed to defeat, further infuriating him. Gashida is then forced to thank the MC and quickly steals the next monster hunting quest before the MC can look at it. Then, as he walks out the door, he laughs at the MC's herb gathering quest because he believes that quests like herb gathering are beneath him. Following that, the MC decides to embark on his first quest but is impeded by Marika's father, who believes he is due for an upgrade. He takes his hand in his and raises his rank from E rank to D rank. Then, Marika comes outside announcing that she will be going with the MC on his first quest. So the duo set out into the forest, and the MC begins to learn more about the very friendly Marika. She also wants to be an adventurer even though she doesn't have the capacity to be one. She's been out in the forest countless times but hasn't gone to the dangerous parts where only adventurers are allowed. Plus, she wears a very revealing gown and doesn't mind climbing up a cliff even when the people beneath her can see literally everything. Anyway, Marika knows the forest almost too well and helps the MC gather the right herbs. She even throws heavy logs around like it's nothing. So the MC asks her why she couldn't handle the monster that was chasing her earlier since she's this strong. Marika then answers that she is scared of fighting and hence would have died if the MC hadn't saved her. She sees him as her savior and asks him to drop the formalities between them. But the MC refuses to do so because he really still doesn't know Marika that well. Suddenly, they spot a deer in the distance, and although it looks normal at first, its eyes start to glow red, and it begins to jump around the forest. Then it lands upon a monster and the two of them begin to fight. So Marika urges the MC to seize the opportunity to kill both the deer and the monster. Later, they return home with the corpses only to have Gashida storm out of the gathering because the monster they killed is the one he tried to hide from the MC earlier. Then, a few days pass and the MC begins to get accustomed to his new life. However, he still has to make friends with Gashida, who still feels spiteful that a new adventurer has been taking all the glory. I mean, look at that shoulder bump. He couldn't even shake the MC. Anyway, Marika's father informs the MC that Gashida set out to the neighboring town's forest to join the hunt for a powerful monster known as the Blade Death Scythe. It is a monster that only C-rank adventurers and above can face. But Gashida has been itching to prove his worth, so he decided to go and join the group of adventurers who are currently circling around the monster. However, his act is breaking the code of conduct of adventurers because the monster is not in the jurisdiction of the Lox village. It is closer to the neighboring village, so it is theirs to handle. Hence, the MC sets out to bring Gashida back before he causes any trouble for Marika's father. He walks into the forest and hopes that Gashida is still in one piece. However, he arrives at the scene to find that the group of adventurers has been dispersed by the giant monster. Only Gashida remains on the scene running for his dear life, so the MC steps in and uses his aura to slash through the Black Death's sixth. However, his attack only makes a shallow cut, so the MC is forced to use his block to protect Gashida, who appears dazzled by the MC's immense aura. Then, the MC's sword breaks, so he uses a piece of it to strike through the monster's innards by using the hidden sting features of his aura. Finally, the monster collapses and the MC tends to Gashida's wounds. He examines Gashida's leg and uses the herbs that he once gathered to treat the wound. Then, he gives Gashida an antitoxin to stop the spread of the monster's poison. So Gashida asks the MC how he knows so much, and the MC tells him that he learned it all on the herb gathering quests that Gashida refuses to take on. He says there is a lot to learn from any quest because everything in nature is connected. Thus, Gashida is inspired by the MC's strength and begins to respect him. He begins to refer to the MC as his teacher the next day and asks the MC to teach him all he knows about life. Gashida now seems eager to learn from the adventurer he once thought was beneath him, and the MC is moved to the extent that he wonders about his former employers, the 4 Demon Kings. Yes, the Demon Kings are currently in a battle with the hero, and they are losing the battle. So the Demon King Bashubaza is annoyed at their lack of prowess over the hero's party. He admonishes the other Demon King Zeviantes, who fled from the battlefield injured, and Zeviantes argues that she did her best, but did not know that the hero's party had gathered new warriors. She then complains that it's the assistant's job to do recon on all their battles, and not hers, so she shouldn't be the one with all the blame. Hence, Bashubaza looks down on their current assistant and fires him sternly. Then he mumbles that it will be a hassle trying to get another assistant. So the Demon King Droys chips in and asks, "Isn't it time they brought back their former assistant, Gariel?" She says the MC always did his job correctly and cared for all of them, so she misses him and regrets the decision of letting him go. However, Bashubaza isn't having it, so he bursts into flames and reprimands Droys. Back at Lux Village, the MC is becoming more accustomed to his environment and the people around him. Gashida now adores the MC and follows him around like a puppy, asking to do quests he's never once been interested in. Also, Marika keeps throwing herself into the MC. She still reveals a lot, and she throws her weight on the MC like a cow. Anyway, there are still some mysteries about Lux Village, and the MC has finally gathered the courage to ask Marika's father about them. He's noticed that there are a lot of empty houses in the village, so he wonders why. Thus, Marika's father explains that Lux Village was once a bubbly village and a tourist attraction center. He says there's a mithril mine very close to the village that had people passing through the village to get to it. However, that all changed when the mine was snatched away by the demons. Mithril is a metal that contains mysterious properties, and it enhanced the performance of various weapons around the world. Also, the MC acknowledges that mithril is important to demons, and so both sides fought over the mine for many years until it was finally seized by the demons. Thus, it is for this reason that Lux Village stopped being the bubbly tourist attraction it once was. Marika's father says the humans tried to reclaim the mine, but they failed, so Lux Village has just kept deteriorating ever since then. He expresses sadness that his generation might just be the last ones who remember that Lux Village was once a lively place. Thus, the MC decides it's time he visited his old workplace, the mithril mine. The MC was once placed at the mine to supervise it during his time in the Demon King's army. He knows all about the battle between demons and humans for the mine, but he says nothing about it. The next day, the MC visits the mine and finds the place empty. He tries to sneak in unnoticed, but instead finds the place deserted. It seems like all the workers and security have abandoned the mine. However, the MC soon finds that not all the workers have left the mine because the knockers still remain in the tunnels digging for mithril. They all cheer and chatter the moment they see their old boss Dariel, and then they line up to get a pat on the head one by one. Finally, the MC addresses the knockers and asks them about the situation. Then they explain that the Demon King's army took their security to the battleground. They claim that a jerk has ordered them to mine 4 times the amount of mithril they were previously mining for. As a result, they are stressed and angry at the higher-ups. Then they announce that the order was given by Bashubaza, and the MC realizes that Bashubaza has been mismanaging his power. Suddenly, a few footsteps come by, so the MC hides. Bashubaza's subordinate appears to have arrived to collect the amount of mithril ordered. The knockers, however, do not have enough to satisfy the order, so they beg their current administrator for more time. Unfortunately, their pleas go unheard, and the administrator threatens to destroy them if they don't have it all ready by the next day. So one of the knockers jumps out to attack the administrator as he leaves because they are frustrated with the unreasonable demands. He gets the administrator on his head and protests that they can't endure their situation anymore. Consequently, the administrator asks the soldiers with him to kill all the knockers with their magic. Hence, the MC has no choice but to step out of his hiding place and stop them. He grabs a cloth and wraps it around his face, hoping to conceal his identity. However, he is oblivious to the fact that the cloth wrapped around his face is actually a knocker's underwear. Soon, the MC realizes this and has no choice but to ignore the smell in order to keep his identity secret. He announces himself as a human adventurer and asks the soldiers to withdraw because they are not supposed to use their magic on non-combatants. However, the administrator laughs at the MC's words and berates the fact that humans have to use weapons to fight. Then he calls out the MC for giving the knockers the audacity to rebel against him. He says the knockers were happy just digging their lives away until a human adventurer stumbled upon the mine and encouraged them to rebel. Then the administrator commands the soldiers to attack the MC, who responds by sheathing his sword and tying it in place. He doesn't want to hurt any of the soldiers, so he attacks them with his sheath in place and interrupts their magic spells before they can finish it. Unfortunately, the knockers also decide to join in the fight, only for one of them to get his ass kicked by a soldier. And that's when the MC realizes that the soldiers might not feel comfortable killing non-combatants like the knockers since they are not supposed to. So the MC calls out to the soldiers and asks them to withdraw for the sake of their code of conduct. However, his efforts are futile because the administrator orders the soldiers not to listen and instead to continue casting their magic spells to destroy the human adventurer as well as the knockers. Hence, the MC is forced to fight the soldiers. He understands how weaving magic spells work, so he easily stops all of the soldiers by knocking them off balance before they can complete their spell. Then the administrator instructs the soldiers to use enhancement spells instead. Even so, the soldiers are no match for the MC, who silences them all in an instant. Then he appears before the administrator, who cowers in before him and confesses that he too is a non-combatant who was hired to oversee the mithril mine after impressing Bashubaza. As a result, the MC punishes the administrator and instructs him to inform the Demon Kings that he has resigned. The MC tells the administrator to inform the Demon Kings that the mine is a dangerous place and that they should avoid visiting it. So the administrator flees and the MC sends the soldiers away. Then the knockers announce that they want the MC to be their administrator again, tells Marika's father that he has reclaimed mithril mine. Then he asks that they help maintain the mine alongside the knockers. Although Marika's father is at first skeptical of the knockers since they once worked for the demons, but he quickly accepts the MC's request and sends the news over to the Central Guild, which quickly sends workers over to sustain the mine. They gather people to keep the mine going now that they have seized control of it back from the demons. Then people start flocking to Lux Village and the place becomes again the bubbly tourist attraction it was once. However, some things still haven't changed, seeing that the largely endowed Marika still loves to throw her weight on the MC anytime she pleases.